Aloha, my name is Maka'ala, and I'm here to talk to you about Huna. So in all my travels around the world, I always get this question, what is Huna? And I've been quite silent for many years, but I feel now it's time to speak out. So the question is, what is Huna? Maybe more appropriately, what is not Huna? So for those of you who are not aware, Huna is a metaphysical New Age practice started in the mid 90s, 1930s, 40s. It's an esoteric, it's a so-called Hawaiian esoteric spiritual practice. I'll discuss who, where, what, how, why. Before I do that, let me introduce myself. So, if you don't, for those of you who don't know who I am, maybe this will help, so that when I speak about the subject, you'll see that it is from good source. So my training in the Hawaiian medicine ways, the La'au La'au, began at 6 years old. I'm 70 right now, so I've been doing it for many, many years. And I was born and raised in Huna, Kona, Hawaii. I'm Hawaiian. I sailed on the Hokulea in 1976. I was one of the original crew members of the Hokulea that went from Hawaii to Tahiti and from Tahiti back to Hawaii. And National Geographic filmed and documented this entire voyage. I'm also a chiropractor. I graduated from a chiropractic university in Portland, Oregon. And I have many teachers. Many of them were Hawaiian women, Hawaiian elders, kahunas. They were kahuna class Hawaiians. And you're going to notice that I'm going to be using my notes from time to time because there are some information that I want to make sure it's accurate and correct, so I don't misquote or misstate anything. So Kalehua Makanoi Lulu'u Onapali was one of my teachers. She's more famously known as Auntie Margaret Machado. I studied with her for 16 years. La'au, Ho'oponopono, fasting, Lomi, of course. And then there were Auntie Io Lani Luahini, I would call her Auntie Io, and she was I was very briefly with her. I learned about the communication process with the elements, the animals, plants, wind, ocean. And then there was Auntie Mona Kahele. Auntie Mona Kahele was Auntie Margaret's auntie, but they were the same age. Auntie Mona Kahele was a Ho'oponopono person. I didn't study with her, but I knew her for a long time. I did a lot of consultations with her regarding Ho'oponopono and the questions that I had regarding that subject matter. So Auntie Mona was known for Ho'oponopono. Auntie Ida Kanakaole, language culture. Kupunahali, language culture. Mona Simeona, Ho'oponopono, energetics, meditation. Mona, I would say, would be more, her study was more, I would call it cosmology, which is the study of the cosmos. She was the one who was able to help me connect the dots of the planet, not astrologically, but just the meanings behind the language and culture and how it's connected to our universe. And then, of course, there's my Ohana, my family, the Yates family, which we are descendants. I am descendants of Kawahini Kuilehua, and then they were Kapaha, Kikapa Haukea, Kamai Lolo, and Kipapa. These are the Hawaiian lineage of my ancestors, and that La'au strain or vein, I should say. Then there was Auntie Margaret, so myself studying with Auntie Margaret. Auntie Margaret's grandfather, his name was Aha'ula Keali'i, and he is a descendant, learning-wise, school of thought, in the La'au way, in the old Hawaiian ways. This is kona from Kamaka Nui Aha Ilono. Kamaka Nui Aha Ilono, which is originated the La'ao Lapa'ao that I carry, that I have studied. And he's from Ka'u. Kamaka Nui Aha Ilona means the eyes searching for knowledge, for truth. So these are powerful, powerful lineages that I've been associated with, that I carry in all my teachings, and the knowledge that I share with other people. I bring forth the connection to the original people. So, you know, never was Huna was never mentioned to me with all my teachers. No one even hinted that there was an organization or a spiritual foundation or a spiritual practice called Huna. None of my teachers have. In all of our written literature and chants and in the archives of our history. So Hawaiians were considered a very high educated society. They were able to read, write, publish books. They published newspapers. So they're very educated. But nowhere do we find anything, any hints that there was a Huna organization or Huna spiritual practice. No. So let me begin by explaining what Huna is from a Hawaiian perspective. How do I translate that? Huna is a small particle, like a grain of sand. An atom would be considered a Huna. Huna also means hidden secret. Huna also is the 11th night of the monthly or lunar cycles. So each moon phase, every night there is a name of that moon phase. And the 11th night is called Huna. Then there's Huna. Huna is, when it's pronounced that way, means to hide, to conceal, to disguise. Okay, so that's the word Huna. Again, I have never found any practice in my life, in all the years of studying the Hawaiian ways, Hawaiian medicine ways, none whatsoever I've ever heard or seen practice called Huna. So how did it get started? Well, this guy, Max Freedom Long, coined that phrase. Max Freedom Long is an American. He's not Hawaiian. I believe he's from California. Born in 1890, died in 1971. So he's been around for quite some time. Well, in 1917, he went to Hawaii to teach elementary school English. So let me bring you up to speed, because what was happening in Hawaii at that time was that the new colonizers, the United States of America, they illegally were occupying Hawaii, had been occupying Hawaii since 1896. But in the 1900s, they created what they call an indoctrination program. And this is to teach English to the Hawaiian people, starting with the kids. So the key in converting the Hawaiian people is through the language. They need to learn English and wipe out them from speaking the Hawaiian. Stop them from speaking the Hawaiian. And Max Freedom Long was part of the team that went through all Hawaii to teach English in his indoctrination program. But Long gives in his writings, he gives the impression that he has studied with the Kahunas on the Big Island. He doesn't come out and say exactly that he did. He tried to give the impression that he had. In Hawaii at that time, the Kahuna Society was a very close, protective organization. There is no way the average Hawaiian could even enter into that circle. And you think a non-Hawaiian is going to be able to do that? There's just no way. So there's a lot of claims that Max Freedom Long were saying in his writings to justify and qualify what he has to say. So one of the examples I'll use is his The Secrets of Ancient Hawaiians. He's claiming in his writing, the secrets of the ancient Hawaiians is encoded in the Hawaiian language. Well, that might be true, but how he's discussing it is way left field, not even close. In the Hawaiian language, there are kaunas, there are hidden meanings. So we have 13 letters in our alphabet. One of them is the apostrophe mark. So Maka'ala, my name, M-A-K-A, Okina, which is a Galaro stop or apostrophe, A-L-A, Maka'ala. With that, it makes my name translate as awake, alert, awake. Without the Okina, it makes it Maka'ala, which is by Kala or maybe by the road or by the light, or, some other thing other than Maka'ala really means. So 13 letters in the alphabet. So we speak in a deep, deep way, but you need to understand the meaning behind the person who's speaking that language. So you need to know the original people before you can even understand the language. And then to understand the culture and its traditions. So even today, there are interpretations of our language by Hawaiians, not by many Hawaiians, but some Hawaiians, that are interpreting it based on their timelines. So I won't go into the timeline of the events in Hawaii that have affected the consciousness of the Hawaiian people. But there were periods in Hawaii that I call the Ali'i period, missionary period, and then the occupation period. During these times, it had affected the consciousness of the Hawaiian people, how they think, how they interpret something that was from the old days. I consider myself pre-Ali'i period, so that I bring forth the messages from the original people. Okay. So kauna is like hidden meaning behind what is being said, like Nostradamus in his quatrains. He's writing these information, pages and pages of information. There's a hidden meaning behind. He's predicting futures and things that's going to be happening. So kauna is like that. And yes, there is some hidden meaning in the language. But Max Furlong had no idea any of this. He doesn't even explain this at all, in fact. He just made things up, like there's some secret codes that he's come up with. So let me go over his accomplishments, Max Furlong's accomplishments. In 1936, he wrote a book on Huna. 1945, he founded the Huna Research Organization. 1953, he wrote The Secret Science at Work. And which became the Huna textbook. In 1965, he wrote the Huna Codes of Religions. And then he started, this is 65 now, he started different fellowships. Canada, Australia, England, Germany, Switzerland, and of course America. So you ask any Hawaiian scholar in Hawaii, any Hawaiian scholar, and they'll tell you that Huna is an invented religious belief system. We as Hawaiians don't recognize that organization. It's not to say that they might be doing good work, good things, helping people. But why call it Huna? And why base it on a Huna religious system when it's absolutely not? Call it another country's name, if you like. A Japanese name, an African name, a German name. Something, a French name. But they decided to call it a Hawaiian thing. And the reason is to make money. This is my opinion. So The So in Hawaii, there were some communication going back and forth between Max Beam Long and some of the Hawaiian scholars who was alive then. One of them was Charlie Ken. Charlie Ken was selected as a Hawaiian living treasurer. A Hawaiian living treasure, I should say, not treasurer. Hawaiian living treasure. This is a society that recognizes people for their accomplishment in their lives before they die. And, their gifts to society, things that stood out for them, and they want to recognize them before they die. This is like a Japanese originating in Japan, I believe it is. So Charlie Ken was a living treasure. It's a big honor. It's one of the highest honors in Hawaii. He's Hawaiian. He's a kahuna. He was a kahuna. And he was an expert on the Hawaiian history, language, and traditions. And he's also a friend of Long's. And this is what he writes, and I'll quote, "While this Huna study is an interesting study, it is not and never was Hawaiian." That's from Charlie King. Then you have Theodore Kelsey. He, a Hawaiian, he was also a living treasure honoree. He helped translate the Kumulipo. Kumulipo is the chant of creation. It's one of the most famous chants in Hawaii. There's a lot of hidden meanings in the translations. A lot of kaunas. That kauna is still trying to be understood today. But he translated literal translations. He was part of the team that read the entire Kumulipo and helped translate it. And nowhere in there talks about Huna as a spiritual practice. And this is his letter to Max Beam Long. This letter is in the archives in Honolulu. He's criticizing Long's use of the word unihipili and aumakua, because Long would be making things up and what it meant, and how to be used in their spiritual practices on a daily basis. So now you come up to more modern days, and Serge King jumps on the bandwagon. He studied Long's, all his works, and decided to use Huna as a foundation to the spiritual aspects of all his teachings, his so-called Hawaiian teachings. So Serge King wrote a book on Kahuna, and his dead book it's so make-believe I don't even go into it. He founded Huna International, which is a religious order, in 1973, and there's 3 parts of that organization. 1 was Aloha International, 2 was Voices of the Earth, and 3 was Finding Each Other International. Serge King blatantly misappropriates a lot of Hawaiian words in a lot of ways. This is amazing. He just makes things up as he goes along. Unbelievable. So, for example, he uses kani, ku, and lono as the 3 selves. And it has nothing to do with the 3 selves of the human soul, spirit. It is our deities that we live in harmony with. That represents the different elements of our society, of our culture, of our land, and our spiritual connection, if you like. But nothing to do with how he's explaining its use. And then he has the 7 principles of Huna, all Hawaiian words, translating into erroneous interpretations. And totally false. As a Hawaiian, when we read this, we scratch our heads and say, what is he saying? This can't be real. It's not even Hawaiian. Just totally made it up. So King, after years of what he was doing, received a knock on his door one day by a young Hawaiian gentleman who represented a secret society of Hawaiians. Let's just leave it at that. And he told And this young man told Serge, I represent a Hawaiian society, and I'm here to tell you, stop what you're doing. And then left. And then many months later, Serge happened to be at this function, and this Hawaiian young man, walks up to Serge and says to him in private, stop what you're doing. This is your second warning. There is no three. And that got Serge's attention. Because Serge used to call his work Hawaiian kahunaism. Because of that warnings, he changed it to Hawaiian shamanism. But still using misappropriation or misrepresentation of words and its meanings. So let's see now, where are we now? Oh, the other thing too, Serge mentioned is that he studied with a kahuna, and his name was Abraham. Well, I happen to know Abraham, lived in Hawaii, who was born and raised in Huna. Well, he was adopted by the Campbell family. And Auntie Margaret knew him as well. And so all this stuff was going around that, Abraham is kahuna, is teaching, Serge King and other people. So Auntie Margaret gives a call to this so-called kahuna, Abraham. And this is a quote from Abraham, because I was there that day when Auntie Margaret talked to him on the phone. This is Abraham responding to Auntie Margaret's question. He said, I didn't tell them that I was a kahuna. This is a quote. But they embellished, Serge King embellished the idea that they were studying with a kahuna. Now, did this Hawaiian man lie to Serge, or did Serge lie? I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. But nonetheless, you cannot claim you study with a kahuna when the person is not a kahuna. So a lot of made up things to justify his story, to justify a movement. And a lot of the huna is used in what I call exploitive practices of the Hawaiian culture. Temple Lomi, for example. Temple Lomi is one of them. Using huna as a spiritual foundation. But there are others. So, it's time for me to speak up, and I'm speaking up now as a Hawaiian, and I represent a lot of connection to the original people. So, the Huna organization is the main one. It's one of many other practices out there that are misappropriating the Hawaiian culture's language and its practice. So I'm going to read what I wrote here so that I can be clear. These exploitive practices is a violation of collective. Let me repeat. These exploitive practice is a violation of collective intellectual property rights of the Hawaiian people. Huna is not Hawaiian, period. Well, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this will enlighten you, maybe not. It's okay, I don't need to apologize because I'm bursting people's bubble, but the fact is the facts. Mahalo nui loa and aloha.